Hey guys, Vern's here with another Supercoach review. So round 4 review, awesome round, 2,291, so a great score. Felt pretty good about it. We made some great power moves this week and we really netted some bonus points with just good tradings and great use of the loopholes. Like we lucked out to an extent, but having the loopholes for those rookies feels so good early. So as much as it sucks having them miss from COVID or whatever, it just feels so good being able to use that loop and really maximize the volatility of those rookies because, Cherry came out with a tiny score this week. I actually had the emergency on him with using Durden as a loop, kept him on the bench, threw Nick Martin on the field, and maximized my points there. So felt really, really good maximizing my points with my rookies this week. I had decent captain choice. I was pretty happy with that. Made a good trade last week. I know I was umming and ahhing about making a trade. You all know who I was talking about moving on, and I was really happy with my decision. So, look, good score. We moved up to 2,760. We took a step back last week, and then we took a step forward this week. So we're back to sort of where we were 2 weeks ago. But I believe in our team to continue making those positive steps forward going forward. So, awesome score. Last week was a down week. We get over that. We move forward, and we feel pretty good about it, honestly. So yeah, great move up. Now, what we will cover in this video, we will go over basically the team review, and then we'll be looking at our trade options. Obviously, we're not going to trade yet, but we will be trading in the following week, and we want to talk about who we're targeting, who we want to see potentially maybe have a good game, who we want to see maybe have an average game so that maybe they drop a bit in cash and become a little bit more obtainable for us. So that's what we're looking at. DPP as well becomes available next week, so really keen to be looking at that. But yeah, let's jump on into it. So this is what the team stacked up as. Looks pretty good overall. We'll jump on in as you'll probably... Sorry, on the control tab that. There we go. Jump in, make things a bit easier for everyone to see. As you'll probably saw there, the move I made already. But we'll get to it when we get to it. So, look, defense, short, awesome as always, very consistent. Cripps, he's been up and down, had an up week this week, felt good. Dawson, 97. I think that man's literally pumped out a 97, 98, 99, and then like the 123. So, look, I want a bit more from him. I was expecting him to maybe have a 110 average, and he's not quite living up to that. And it did feel iffy this week too when he was on, I think, 56 heading into the final term, and had a massive 40-point final quarter. That's sort of what he did last week too, and I would like to see a bit more consistency from him throughout the game. Because if he can stop having, 50, 60 point 3 quarters and then like a 30, 40 point final quarter, that would feel awesome if you could, maybe up those first few quarters there. Hall, 97, good bounce back from last week. Obviously, they didn't get up over the Swans. Didn't really see too much of this game. I actually missed the end of the game where Swans made a huge comeback there. But, 97 for Hall, that's okay. I expect it to be a bit higher, what he's usually getting. But Swans are always a hard team to score against, and they were very competitive at the end of the day, which I don't know if that's going to benefit his scoring, having them be competitive with teams. But, considering last week they got stomped and he wasn't even close to this, maybe it will. So the only down rookie we really had, Hinged, 37. Didn't really move much. I swear he was like 30-something at halftime and then nothing in the second quarter, really. So he was a bit of a down rookie this week. So I guess technically lost the rule out a little bit there, but I'm never going to be fielding DeConning or Gibkiss over him. We know he's just got way too much of a ceiling. McCartan, 55. That's alright too. And then bench Gibkiss and DeConning. We're happy with that because we want them to be making money. And yes, it'll be that slow burn we've been talking about, but they're going to make us that money eventually if they can sort of keep putting out these numbers. Jumping into those midfields, McRae, 158. I know I talked about it last week. The safest options was McRae VC into Tuke Miller captain, and we didn't do it at the end of the day. I thought there was more upside elsewhere, and overall we didn't maximize our captain score that we could have got, but I wasn't disappointed with it. And at the end of the day, it's great to see McRae bounce back. Look, we know that Richmond doesn't have the strongest mid, so we always thought doggies were going to score well against them. But I also didn't expect Richmond to run over them like that. So, yeah, bit of a crazy one there for so many dogs players to score such big numbers and to get belted by 5 goals. Yeah. Neil, 128. Not bad, not bad. That's a nice score. I think if anyone had the V on him, you'd feel very happy taking that VC. Miller, the 105. Now, look, that's the other thing I was looking at. At the end of the day, I didn't want to take the VC on McRae because I wanted to play more of that upside, and I think there was upside elsewhere. But I was definitely going to be putting the C on Miller if it didn't work out at the end of the day. So, technically speaking, we still had more points with the VC than we would have had with the C. So, that's fine. We'll take that. Kind of crazy seeing Neil take over Miller and the prices as well there and them switch positions there. That's actually pretty nuts. Lipinski, 79. Bit of a letdown. As well as Raul, 65. Letdown for both of those mid-prices. Honestly, watching Lipinski, because I watch him closely, because obviously being the Pie supporter, I love watching those games. I really just didn't like what I was seeing from him, honestly. I just felt like there was too many times that he could have just gone harder at the ball or just attacked it. You know? I don't know, just weak tackle efforts, sort of. He's more of that release guy. He's looking for someone else to get in, get that ball, and then release it to him. And then he'll make the good decision with the kick and whatnot. But it is really rough sometimes when you see him in a situation where it's like, just hit the pack, just grab the ball, just tackle him, just go harder at it. And it is a little bit frustrating to watch him sort of just stand at the side and just not get that release hand pass, because it really feels like that's really what he's looking for to score. Raul, 65, down game from him, didn't see that game, so don't really know what happened there. Obviously, massive anti-pod here that came in big for us. As we all know, everyone had Cripps, basically. I think like 90% of the top 1,000 did, and that man getting subbed out early on in the game and dropping like 30-something points. So huge anti-pod for us this week was absolutely awesome. Well, obviously not good. We don't want to see players getting injured, but great for us that Supercoach wise that the anti-pod sort of came in there. Saying that, we also had the anti-pod of, I think, Cherry. I think a lot of people had Cherry on the field, and we'll see later on that we don't have that either. Saying that, though, the Horn-Francis decision. Now, getting the Cardwell, this is one that Cardwell's one that I always watch because, as we know, when I was picking Cardwell, I was deciding between Bowie, and I think Bowie was the quick decision at the end of the day, and I didn't go with it, and then Horn-Francis and Cardwell, and we ended up going with Cardwell. Horn-Francis had a better week this week. I think technically over the 2 weeks that I could have had them, Cardwell technically has more runs on the board, so better overall. Horn-Francis has scored more made more money though, but that's okay. A few extra points. I'm still happy with what Cardwell's doing. And Bowie had an awful week this week, so actually kind of worked out well for us picking Cardwell at the end of the day. I think it was an incorrect decision in hindsight last week, after we sort of, sat back and thought about, yes, we could maybe get to that premium a week earlier if we picked up Bowie, but him dropping the 47 really has killed his cash gen, and if people aren't moving him on now, it feels like he might just be a bit dead. So actually worked out pretty well for us there. Berry, 96. A lot of people moved him on, but he's hit a good score. He's looking like he's getting that cash flow going, which is awesome. Dacos, 125. Awesome. We're always going to put Dacos on the field. He's just way too consistent and good. Ward, Stephen, McDonald. Ward and McDonald, pretty subpar score. McDonald's cash gen's really going to be dead after that 23. Ward's 41. He's going to be a real slow burn too now. And then Stevens didn't play. So yeah, the rookies on the bench are kind of looking like they're going to be very slow for us. Look, and then when we scroll down here, I'm just going to jump straight to the forward line because I always want to talk about this trade. Obviously, Rowan Marshall is who we had in the rucks, and we moved him on, used the DPP to flick Hayes into the ruck and he into the forward line. This worked out massive as we got the Dixon loophole to get the 96. We got the loophole with the VC to get the 131 for Heaney's VC. And Heaney just had a great score too. I mean, if I look at it just off what my trade did last week over the net points that I gained, overall, if I didn't do this, I probably would have put the VC on Dunkley and Seed Miller, meaning 26 extra points just from the correct captain decision. Heaney ends up on field instead of Cherry, because Cherry would have definitely ended up on field with Hayes on the bench if I didn't do that. Cherry ended up getting a 46, so that alone ends up being, what, an 85 points right there. So 85 plus the 26. We're already looking at a 111 point bonus off that trade. Then on top of that, I don't actually know what Marshall got. Dixon ended up with the 96. Let's just quickly look at what Marshall got. Oh god, I cannot spell. What happened here? Marshall. Awesome. Marshall ended up with a 78. Dixon with the 96, 18 more points. That's 129 points bonus there off that trade decision. So, massive trade decision for this week that netted us that extra 129 points. Feels really good. Obviously, really helps with that ranking, and that's, they're the sort of trades that we talk about where it's like trading is key to really moving up the rankings, and it worked out in spades this week. Absolutely awesome. We netted a great VC score. We got a great rookie on field because of it. We actually dodged Cherry being the dead rookie. Yes, I know what you're all thinking. Why do I even have Cherry on the bench? Pretty simple here. My understanding was that North were going into Sydney. Sydney obviously are really good at just not having a lot of Supercoach points in their games and really killing the other team's Supercoach points. Also, my understanding was it was meant to be a wet game up there. Bit of drizzle, bit of rain. Rucks going into the rain. That doesn't seem like it's going to be advantageous for the tall boys. A little bit less on the intercept marks. They're already going to struggle with the ground ball, but let alone when it's a bit wet. I just felt like overall, if I was going to choose between one or two, I was either looping Cherry or Brody, and I felt much safer with Brody on field. Honestly, I don't know, I just felt like Brody on field was good because we'd be getting tagged towards Brayshaw. Obviously, Fife was still out, so I felt like Brody was going to be the main guy in the middle. I felt like Cherry was more likely to have a down game, so I took the risk and I put the emergency on Cherry. I actually had Durbin on the field originally to sort of work that loophole and put the C on him if need be, because obviously at that stage we didn't know if Hayes was going to get named as a medical sub or not, which was giving me mad anxiety right up until that Saints game where I found out that he wasn't the fucking medical sub and I could chuck that C on him and play it safe. Awesome. So we were sort of looking at this. As soon as Cherry had the bad score with the 46, can I scroll down a little bit more here for us so we can all see that? Yeah, we can all see that now. I just made the switch, put Martin on field, and we ended up banking that Martin points. The reason that I'm talking about Cherry off the field instead of Heaney is because if I had Marshall, I would have had Marshall up here. That means Hayes comes down here, and that means Hayes moves to the bench over Cherry. So I would have had two dead rookies. Cherry ends up on the field. Nick Martin still on the field. That's why I'm comparing those two and not Nick Martin. So that's how I got to the extra 129 points I was looking at. But yeah, honestly, really, really cool. Worked out well. Grundy had a good game. He looked actually fantastic in that first quarter. Looked fantastic in that second quarter. I'm actually really super tilted at the Pies, just the way we played that game. I don't know, West Coast's whole thing is that they have these tall timber in the back line that just want to be picking off, scrappy long bomb high passes. And what do we fucking do? We just keep bombing it inside and letting McGovern, letting Barras, letting fucking Nielsen go to work, use their height, use their bodies against... Honestly, we don't have a big-bodied key defender. Sorry, a key forward. Like, we're looking at Myercheck and Hoskin Elliott, and I do think they're good players, but they're not big, stocky guys. They're not tall guys. They're not going to outbody these West Coast defenders to get that long bomb that's sitting above their head. And it just, we need to be getting the leads and then hitting those short, sharp passes, and it just didn't. We just weren't doing it. It's super tilting to watch. Very annoyed at them. Dixon obviously had a massive final quarter. He was on 48, and then the final quarter went massive. Hayes didn't get named, as I said. Was really watching that closely to see who got named as a medical sub for Saints, because if it's Hayes, obviously I can't put the C on him, meaning I don't have a loop because there's no way I'm not going to put Nick Martin over Cherry. I felt like in my head I'm thinking Nick Martin's getting a minimum of 70 points. That's 24 more than Cherry, meaning you take 24 away from Heaney. That means Miller needs to get a 107 minimum if I put the C on him for this to be advantageous for me to put the C on Miller. Obviously decided against that. Obviously I didn't have to worry about that. In the end of the day, it would have lost me 2 points if I just, if it was 70. But because Martin ended up getting that 84, 14 extra points, technically would have worked out with 12 extra points. Look, that's just a hypothetical. Obviously didn't play out that way, so don't need to really go over it, but that was my thinking, waiting for that decision to happen. Hayes comes through though as not playing. Awesome. We chucked the C on him. We get that. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to stop repeating that, but I've been going over how well that went for me because it's something that was a big part of my week this week and what really got me that good score. But yeah, jumping down, Dunkley 103, as I said, that's where the VC would have gone if I didn't bring Heaney in. Heaney 131, massive end to the game. He was trailing really well. Like, I think he's like 95 or something with like 5 minutes left on the clock, and I'm thinking, yeah, look, I'm not gonna keep this VC on him. It's not worth it. Obviously, Scaling comes in and he has the massive goal at the end with like 10 seconds left, and he just bumps his score up by like 36 points in the last few minutes of the game, which massive, awesome. We don't not take a 131. Why would we ever roll the dice with that? So yeah, we definitely take that. Butters 57, another down game, but he did spend a lot of time forward, and when you did see him in the middle, he looked really good. It's just, I just don't know if he got enough time in the middle. I didn't really watch his game too much, but whenever I did see it, Butters was nowhere near the ball, and then when I did watch like a 10-minute stint, Butters like went into the midfield, went on the ball, and just like got like 4 or 5 disposals really quick, and I was like, has he not been on, like, I haven't seen him all game. Has he been in the forward line? And my understanding is that what I heard is it does sound like he was parked in the forward line. Caniglio, 64, whatever. That's cool. He's making us money. Maybe someone we flip at the buys because we're not going to move him on early because he's playing well and he's just consistent. We know he's got the job security. We know he's got a high ceiling. Yes, he might have a bit of a low floor, so showing that 64, but I would feel a lot more comfortable with him on the field than a Dixon or a Hayes, McCartan, Hinge, those sort of players. So we're not going to be moving him on first. Will Brodie, massive game, 135, really worked out for us there. So awesome. Nick Martin, 84. Look, Nick Martin and Cardwell kind of tilted me a bit as well because Nick Martin, I think, was 70 heading into the final quarter and got like 14 points, which really sucks. Because over 3 quarters getting 70 points, that's not bad. You're looking at 23 points a quarter, and then to pick up 14 at the end in a close game too. So Scaling would have really been in his favor when he did touch the ball. It was kind of disappointing. Same with Cardwell. I think him heading into the final quarter was 91, and then ended up 87 by the end of the game. So I don't know what happened. He clearly didn't touch the ball, and then Scaling brought him down by like 4 points. So really annoying there because I really thought he was easily getting over the ton. I thought Nick Martin would get close to it, and then it'll make the Cardwell pick much better than the Juan Francis pick. But oh well, still better overall, as I said, total points so far in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Cherry, the 46, as I said, wet weather clearly didn't favour him. But also, Goldie spent a lot of time in the ruck and had a great Supercoach score himself. Cherry ended up stuck a lot in the forward line and didn't really get into the game, as you would as a key forward. This is sort of the score you expect from a key forward. But yeah, so that's the team overall. That's how wrapped up. Durden out with COVID. So that's why he didn't play, so he was always a loop option for us. So yeah, moving forward, what are we looking at for our trades? Look, we'll just look at our captain option. I'm going to just scroll back out for us here. So let's get back out. Let's see the full team together. Okay. I hate when it does that. There we go. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm just going to scroll out again because it is doing that annoying thing. Here we go. Awesome. There's the team. Let's see. I'm actually thinking locking Neil into the pies. I like that a lot. And then seeing McRae into North. Like this just seems too good. I don't mind the idea of Heaney into West Coast, but when you have Neil into pies, McRae into North, I don't think we can pass that up. It just seems too good. So nice, safe VCC options this week that are going to net us some good scores. Team's looking good overall. I'm happy with it. Look, the other thing that I want to talk about, I guess, with the Heaney and the Marshall switch is I didn't actually think Marshall was a keeper. I didn't think he was going to be top 4 rucks. If anything, I felt like he was going to lose 100k and be someone that I have to move on because he's not a keeper. Meaning if I hold on to him, I'm just going to lose points. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to lose out overall the longer I hold him. And I had 2 trades and I wasn't going to use any. So I thought, you know what? Stuff it. We'll flick him into Heaney. I think Heaney will be a keeper. He's also coming into North, then West Coast, then Hawthorn in back-to-back 3 weeks. Those are teams that he could very easily drop 130s on. Honestly, the reason he had the VC is I thought he had a possibility of like a 170 against North, but that game turned out a lot different than expected. So I did feel like one of those things that I think Heaney could be a keeper, but if anything, He's going to be much more value now coming into this, next 3 games where he could very easily go 130, 130, 130. And then even if he dies off to a 105 moving forward for the rest of the year and averages technically 110 by the end of the year, 110 top 6 forwards, awesome, but you didn't really capitalize on that. You really only got a 105 from that point forward because you missed out on his great early game. Yes, we've already missed out on a few of his great early games, but I think these next 3 games, it's shown. He's shown it. He's doing it this year. And I think these 3 next games were they're going to be massive point grabs for Heaney. So it just seemed he's going to be a keeper. I'm going to switch a non-keeper to a keeper heading into a great matchup, and we even got the VC 26 extra points over Miller, so it ended up just being huge value this week, and I think will be huge value for the rest of the season. So I was very happy with that decision. But yeah, that's what we'll be looking at. Now, upgrade options moving forward. We've got the DBP coming through next week, so we'll see who we actually get as options. Overall, players-wise, it's bit weird, actually. So nobody's going to trade in Boak. The old man, as much as he looks better every year, he does have a tendency to power off strong and then fall off towards the back of the air. So I think if you don't start Boak, I think it actually could have been a very viable strategy to start Boak because he starts like a house on fire and then just trade him out at his buy round, which I think was the first buy round. Could have actually been massive value. But obviously, why are we ever going to take the risk with 34-year-old injury-prone player popping off again, especially when he did have a poor back half of last year? Just, you wouldn't take that risk. So nobody's going to be getting on Boak. Tom Green, 92, not bad. Not someone I'm looking at. Brayshaw could be someone we look at. I do love Brayshaw, and I really think he's a great football player and a real future there for Fremantle. But he does have those tendencies to drop tiny scores because of his inability to get through a tag. He usually just gets dominated when he gets tagged. He can't break through them. Saying that as well, he does also have a low time on ground a lot of the time. Like this year it's been a lot better, which is great. That might be compensating for Will Brody's low time on ground, but maybe when Fife or later on in the year comes along, if his time on ground drops off, then naturally his average would drop off too. So I don't know if Brayshaw is someone that I want to be moving forward on. Saying that, he's coming into a good age bracket, and he could be someone that, if he keeps up this time on ground for the rest of the year, top 10 mid, get him in now. But I just don't know if that's someone I'm looking at. Doherty, my lord, a 135 out of this man. Doherty is looking insane. Number 1 defender. He really feels like you want him. But with as injury prone as he is, I don't know if I do. And look, Carlton kind of got belted this week, and he still put out a great score. So I do want Doherty, I think. And I think worst case scenario, you could flip him at the buys. I don't know, hard one to say. One I do think is actually a really good one. That Hewitt, they got dominated again today, but he still pumped out a good score. Obviously, everyone that got him for 90k cheaper, great. You've started off the year amazing. I'm not one of those people, unfortunately. Petrarca, English is the number 1 ruck. Witt's also had an amazing week. Gawn had a great bounce back. Anyone that had those, held on to Gawn, anyone that started with Witts or moved him in later on, feels amazing. Starting with English also feels good too. So, yeah, look, I'm not too sure what we'll do with Hayes. Obviously, we want to move him up to one of these eventually, but we might just end up flipping Cherry in there next week once he gets the DPP, and we can worry about this a little bit later on. Sinclair's also looking good again, a 135 again from him. Yeah, look, it's hard to know who to target here. Oliver, awful week. He's going to have this in his system for the next 2 price rises, meaning, price drops. He's going to drop below that 600k. He might be someone to get in soon, and I'm pretty sure they're up against GWS this week, who we saw do the double tag against Took. So if they do it on Oliver, they could do it potentially on Petrarca, but they do it to Oliver and he drops another poor score. This man could get to 550k in like 3 weeks time, and we could get him for an absolute steal. Use barely any money to get that upgrade, and just save a lot to easily make those power moves to continue upgrading from there. Steele dropping in price but looking better and better, so someone you want to get in, but it will be a bit hard to. Yeah, everything It's hard to say. I don't really know if there's anyone here that I'm just like looking at right now. Like, who do I want? As I said, maybe people I want to move on to my defenders, Hinged and McCartan. So maybe I should filter this and look at the defenders. Which ones do I want? Doherty, Hewitt, Sinclair, McGovern. I'm not going to be bringing in McGovern. I'm not going to be bringing in Sinclair. These two are definitely possibilities, but with their price rises, it always feels really bad having to pay 90k up for someone, but I do think Hewitt will be a top 6, and everyone else has him, so I'm sort of falling behind the pack. Saying that if I do decide not to get him and he does drop off, then 60% of the competition do drop off, but I don't know if I want to bet against against Hewitt. He does seem like he's got it together, and it does feel like a losing bet. Moving down, Houston coming broad. Stephen May with a good game. Cripps bounced back. Bailey Dale had a good game. Rioli actually popping off. I'm really annoyed. I'm not annoyed, but to see Rioli doing this, I'm really sad because I got convinced not to start him after his first 2 practice games. He's actually someone that I wrote down a list at the end of last year of players that I want because they're going to drop in price. And obvious ones like Caniglio I put down. Berry, they're going to be discounted prices, but they're going to be good players. Rioli was one I put there because I felt like he was going to get the forward line DPP position, and he's going to be similar to Zeeble. He was the Zeeble starter, Hines starter, Bailey Dale, where he's a forward, actually playing a great backline role, and he has the ability to do it, because I did like what I saw from him at the end of last year when he did it, but in the 2 practice games, he looked garbage, and I was like, I'm already paying up for all these rookies. I'm already paying up for Ral. I just don't know. I just didn't have the funds to be able to keep Rioli in the team, and I actually lost my faith in him off those 2 first games. So I gave up on him and didn't go for him. He's actually looking great. 16th overall in the scoring for defenders, which is obviously great. Technically, I mean, where is he at the forwards? If I look at just forwards, where is he there? Bounces up to 9. That would have been such a good starting pick. He's making money. A little bit upset that I kind of went against what I wrote down, but I guess at the same time, I'm writing down what looks like it will be good, and you have to see how the preseason plays out before you make that decision. And unfortunately, Rioli didn't come in. Zeeble, interesting one. Played forward, kicked 4 goals, I think. Someone that I don't think we want. Daniel Rich dropping in price, and someone I think I want. I don't know. I really like Rich as a player. I do think the problem, though, is Zorko being in the defense is eating up some of Rich's points because Zorko's taking kickouts and whatnot, and he's there and he's helping them exit from defense when Rich would have usually taken those kicks instead. So, yeah, really unfortunate there. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know. Rich is someone I have kind of got the last few years at the end of the year and being like, man, I should have brought this man in earlier. Oh, man, I should have started this man. So, someone that I'm really looking at. Bowie is there. Yeah, look, obviously we're not looking to bring any of these players, I think, further down the list in. I guess maybe. I mean, fallen premiums, if we think they're going to bounce back, aren't a bad idea. Stewart didn't actually play. Stewart's someone I would like to bring in, but with his average being the way it is, if he plays another few weeks, he'll be a slow burn in the reverse direction. He will continue to drop another 30, 40k if he just continues plodding along with those 103s, 104s. So someone that we might look at a little bit later. Lloyd had an awful game. We know how good Lloyd is, so maybe someone we want. But yeah, I guess that's what we're sort of looking at. Defense, maybe the first option. I think Hewitt's probably the biggest must-have, and he is technically the cheapest. I could maybe make a power move for him this week, actually, if I wanted to. If we just jump back to my team real quickly here. I know I'm rambling on here, guys, but look, O'Driscoll obviously had a fantastic game and got a great score. Let's just look at him. O'Driscoll. Okay, it's got an apostrophe there. I didn't think that would matter. So he ended up raising 43k though, but he did put a 104 in his cycle. And it means that his 18 has now moved out of his cycle, so he didn't actually bump up as many points as he could have. He could have very easily gone much further up in price value if he didn't have this 18 in his cycle. Saying that, he did have a 49 and a 104. Do I really want O'Driscoll in? I don't think I want O'Driscoll in. And then the other question there is, who am I downgrading to bring Hewitt in? I think the only way I'd ever get enough money to get Hewitt in is if I'm flipping someone down to an O'Driscoll. Oh, man. And then maybe I'd flip a Lipinski up to it, because I don't think a Lipinski's a keeper at the end of the day, but I do think Hewitt is. So I could look at doing something like that. Gosh, it's hard to try and figure out what I would do here. Let's just look at this. God, I don't like the look of it. Cherry, we're going to be flipping into the mid, so we can't afford to trade him, I think. Brody, obviously, looking too good. We're not moving on any of these. The only ones we're moving on are these ones. Maybe the Martin. Let's look at the Supercoach Plus. What are the break-evens? So these guys are all still going to make good money. We know that. Make good money. McDonald and Ward are maybe at the end. Well, they're not at the end, but they're going to be a very slow burn from here. McDonald doesn't have the role. Ward potentially does, and I think Ward has a higher ceiling. Saying that, McDonald's not really going to get us anything if we were to trade out McDonald. He's not. There's no one we're bringing in for McDonald that's making us enough money for this. If we just jump down the players we can afford. Yeah, O'Driscoll, great, but that makes us $4,000. It's not good enough. McEntee, if we go down there, maybe. Yeah, no, it's too early to make a power move like that. I don't know. I think, as I said, I'd have to maybe move a McCartan down to an O'Driscoll and then flip Lipinski into Hewitt. And then O'Driscoll ends up down here. And then I end up playing Ward, or I can use O'Driscoll to flip with Crisp and then maybe play a DeConning or something. They're the options we would look at. I just don't see it happening. Hewitt is getting further and further away, though, and I think Lipinski into him is the best option I have of catching him. I just don't know where I'm going to find the funds to do that. So, unfortunately, I think this is where we're going to have to leave it, guys. This is the team. We're probably going to have to hold it for another week, get through another price rise, and then worry about it. The only other one I think if we move potentially Ward down, I'm just gonna play with it just because I want to see if we can actually make it with this. Because we do want Hewitt. Technically, we'd be getting keeper for a mid-pricer, so it would still be a positive. No, we don't have enough money for him if we do it. Let's just flip him down. Where is he? Oh yeah, I can't afford him because I'm filtering for players I can afford. So clearly can't afford him. He's out of range by 9k, so it doesn't work out anyway. Yeah, so I guess that's as simple as it is, guys. We're not going to be able to trade this week. We're just going to have to accept we'll get a Hewitt later on at a more elevated price than he already is, unfortunately. But look, not a bad team. I don't not believe in Lipinski to come back and do better. I think he will do better when Pies are winning at the end of the day. Do I think we'll win a lot of games this season? Maybe not, unfortunately. But yes, that's the team. I'm really happy with the setup going into next week. I'm really happy with the moves we made this week that really came off big. And I'm happy with the overall progression, getting back into the, top 3,000. And just another solid score this week. So, yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you all next week. So, peace, later. Love yos.